Well, PJ, it's always good to see you, and
Thank you.
I look forward to working with you now that you're on the county board. There's a lot of things we have talked about over the last 5 years, actually, and I think now's the time to see how to move our city forward. And there's lots of things that we can do together at the county and the city, and I think we just have to find each one by one.
I think that's exactly right, and we have talked about a number of issues, and I know you were always available as a councilman to talk about ideas and interest in business and prosperity in our community.
Well, I think as you and I had discussed, there's several things, and they're functional areas that the county and the city have already had success on. It's our purchasing, it's our combining of the parks departments, it's looking at how we have stronger interlocal agreements as we particularly relate to the first responders, be it fire, police, or investigation. The jail is a perfect example of a cooperation between the city and the county, but I think some of your thoughts on other areas that we might look at would be something I would be open to.
And I think if we can have some regular meetings, and I think the most important thing is, of course, being respectful of our chairperson, Mary Ann Borgeson, you know, to initiate some of those, either ourselves or you, to talk about some ideas. And if Mayor Boyle, former Mayor Boyle, or myself is involved coming from the city side with Mary Ann to talk about maybe the crime lab, at least start to talk about it, not necessarily be ready to initiate something like that right today, but at least start the discussions and look at what are the challenges if we were to do something like that. And you know, oftentimes, and I know when I was here, which was a great privilege, you know, there's always some resistance to change. And you've met that, and I've met that, and I think there are some opportunities, and I think it's more necessary now than ever before because of the financial challenges that we're going to face that are even greater than we faced last year or the year before. And anyway, for the county it's that way because we're not getting reimbursed for the jail corrections as we were. We used to get about 3 or 4 months a year reimbursement from the state. Now that's gone. I think state aid, they're looking at that, which is about $3 million. So it's going to be difficult.
Well, one of the areas Mary Ann and I have talked about, and that's just taking a fresh look at Keno, and we're going to do something very simple. We'll collect all the Keno dollars. The dollars that are collected from those facilities in the county, we're going to send you a check over, and we're going to put together an agreement on how to do that. That's just the fair thing to do. The other area that we've had spent some time on is in this whole area of recycling. It's time to go green, and the county and the city, I think, could be role models for the rest of the state, the rest of the Midwest, if we would put together a more comprehensive thought process and plan on how we really step up the pace on recycling. Now, if the economy's coming back, we're going to have markets for cardboard and paper and maybe even glass. So
maybe. And then I'd suggest to you, and I know some of your staff mentioned, you know, that I came in as the first elected mayor after a difficult time in the city. The idea of, you know, possibly involving more of the community. I know when I was fortunate enough to be here, we had town hall meetings every month in some part of the city, usually twice a month, with taking out public safety director, public works, planning, whatever, just to kind of get more input from the citizens, also to let them know some of the challenges you face, which are many, much more than I faced. So I think that can be helpful, and you know, I've told you before, if ever you're doing some of those, I'm glad to at least be there with you to talk about any county issues if it's somewhere in my district, District 4 in the southwestern part of the city. So I want you to know that I am available to assist because I care a great deal about the city, and I've appreciated your calling from time to time to talk about how we can work together and just input.
Well, I think the citizens would appreciate seeing that their county and city do stand together and do have an openness about receiving information and communicating. It's one of the things I made a promise to do, that we're going to step up the pace on communication and work harder and harder to do a better and better job.
I think we all constantly work at how we can communicate better. I mean, we think we're doing pretty good, but there's more we can do, and I'm really pleased to hear you say that, and I heard you on election night talking about that too, and that's real positive.
Well, one of the things that's been in my thought process as we look at the healing that must go on after the recall is how do we bridge the gaps between the partisanships? How do we bring everything together? Because we're faced with Omaha problems. They don't have any other moniker on them except Omaha.
Well, you know, I go back to Ed Zirinsky, and you know, Eddie was a pretty simple guy and a real good, excellent mayor and a great friend of mine for many, many years when he was on OPPD. And, you know, his slogan was always, there isn't really a Republican way or a Democratic way to plow snow, which we're faced with today. You are, and budget challenges there. You know, I never thought of that. You know, I've been a supporter with yourself, and we're of opposite parties, but really, it really doesn't matter, because what we care about is the best for this city. And you know, I think there's too much partisan politics. That's the difficulty in Washington, because they think if it's a good idea to be either party, we can't really agree with that. I have to challenge you on that. And that's not the right thing to do in these times, or any time for that matter.
Well, it's always good to see you, and it's always good to spend some time with you, and you've been a good coach, a good friend, and I've enjoyed our cups of coffee at Crane's, and we'll have cups of coffee here over in your office or wherever. It's a great city, a great metro area.
Thank you, Mayor, and I want to wish you, and most importantly, more than you, your family a good peace, because being mayor, I think, takes more of a toll on a family no matter what. I know what I was faced with when I was here, and losing a son while I was in office. It does take its toll. You make such a commitment. I can remember my first year, I think I only had dinner at home about 3 nights. Yeah. And you make a tremendous sacrifice, and I'm not sure that people are always aware of that. At the same time, it's a great privilege. But I really respect your family, and seeing them on TV and with you is really a neat thing.
Well, I saw Deborah smile for the first time in 6 months, so that was a good feeling. And get away this past weekend for 4 days in California was great, just to get some fresh air in the ocean and just get refreshed and come back to our great city, snow and all.
Well, keep Deb smiling.
I will.
And maybe let's start to get the county and city working closer together, and I, for one, will be available at any time you ask. I know that when you called me, I've been available, whether it was Christmas Eve day or whatever, to always talk with you and listen and make some suggestions, and I'd like to see us continue that.
Well, we're only about 100 feet apart on the when you look at the way the building's structured.
That's right.
So we'll get more things done together.
All right.
Thank you.
Best of luck.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.